Ministry of Industry appreciates DMO policy for domestic cement and fertilizer industry. Government aims 5% economic growth in the fourth quarter this year. Hello viewers, Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of information from business, economic and capital market sectors, and as the pandemic is still ongoing, we will provide you the latest COVID-19 information. Please stay safe by taking some simple precautions such as physical distancing, wearing a mask, avoiding crowds, cleaning your hands and having less mobility. With me, Wicky Adrian, this is Market Headlines. The government has again extended the application of PPKM with tiered levels outside Java in Bali. The coordinating minister for the economy explained that the PPKM extension will be carried out for the next 2 weeks.
The government decided to extend the PPKM outside Java, Bali for 2 weeks until 22 November. Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Erlangga Hartarto, explained that the pandemic conditions outside Java, Bali continue to improve. Erlangga explained that there are no provinces outside Java, Bali that apply PPKM Level 4. At a city level, there are 151 regions that apply PPKM Level 1, while there are 231 regions at Level 2. The government ensures that it will continue to evaluate the implementation of PPKM in all parts of Indonesia, including raising the limit of the level of assessment criteria is added to the level of vaccination.
Oleh karena itu, perpanjangan PPKM luar Jawa Bali pada periode 9 November sampai dengan 22 November atau diperpanjang 2 minggu dengan kriteria level assessment ditambahkan dengan capaian vaksin. Untuk capaian yang di bawah 50% dinaikkan 1 level PPKM. Sehingga dengan demikian ada 156 kabupaten kota, asesmennya level 2, karena vaksinasinya di bawah 50%, sehingga dinaikkan menjadi level 3, sehingga total level 3 ada total di level 3 ada 160 kabupaten kota.
Although the active cases of COVID-19 tend to decrease, the threat of a third wave of COVID-19 still has the potential to occur. So the government continues to prepare to prevent a reoccurrence of a surge in COVID-19 cases. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
The Ministry of Industry welcomes the domestic coal market obligation policy for the fertilizer and cement industry. The policy is believed to be able to help the domestic industry, especially to compete with foreign products.
The increase in coal prices in the global market had a significant impact on the manufacturing industry, particularly the fertilizer and cement industries. Spokesman for the Ministry of Industry, Febri Henry, said that the cost of spending on the cement and fertilizer industry was dominated by coal costs. For this reason, the Ministry of Industry fully supports the steps of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources after the issuance of the policy on the selling price of coal for the fulfillment of raw materials and industry of $90 per ton.
Kami mengapresiasi surat keputusan Menteri ESDM nomor 206 tahun 2021 tentang harga jual batubara untuk pemenuhan kebutuhan bahan baku dan bahan energi industri semen dan industri pupuk yang telah menetapkan harga acuan sebesar $90 per ton. Untuk kalau batubara kalori 6.200 kilokalori, dan kami meyakini bahwa dengan adanya harga acuan itu terhadap batubara DMO (Domestic Market Obligation), maka akan mengurangi tekanan beban biaya produksi.
Although this policy is only valid until March 2022, the Ministry of Industry still appreciates it because this can provide certainty for industry players so that industrial activities can run normally. From Jakarta, Ade Firmansyah for IDX Channel.
The government continues to encourage MSMEs to contribute to Indonesia's efforts to become a world producer of halal products. For this reason, a number of steps have been taken, including carrying out a number of inclusive and sustainable transformations. Minister of Cooperatives and SMEs Teten Masduki said that the ministry would take advantage of the global halal industry. One of the steps taken is to encourage SMEs, especially fashion SMEs, to develop the potential of the global halal industry. Another step taken is to provide assistance to open access to the digital market with a target of 30 million MSMEs entering the digital market. Not only that, entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship development will also be carried out with a national entrepreneurship ratio target of 3.75%, so that it is hoped that the export contribution of MSMEs can increase to 15%.
Kita juga ingin Indonesia menjadi produsen halal dunia. Kami telah menetapkan prioritas ke depan, yakni Muslim fashion sebagai lokomotifnya. Ya, saya kira kita memiliki keunggulan domestik, ya. Market kita juga besar, saya kira tidak ada salahnya kalau kita ingin menjadikan produsen halal dunia, yaitu di Indonesia. Nah, lokomotifnya yaitu Muslim fashion. Lalu percepatan digitalisasi terus kami lakukan. Saat ini sudah ada
Moving on to global update, voters in a Twitter poll have urged Elon Musk to sell 10% of his stake in Tesla in order to pay tax. Meanwhile, World Health Organization official has cast doubt on Turkmenistan's claim that it has zero COVID-19 cases. More stories on today's International Minute.
Voters in a Twitter poll have urged Elon Musk to sell 10% of his stake in Tesla in order to pay tax. More than 3.5 million Twitter users voted in the poll, launched by Mr. Musk on Saturday, with nearly 58% voting in favor of the share sale. The vote could see him dispose of nearly $21 billion of stock in the electric car maker. He has promised to abide by the result in response to a billionaire's tax proposed by U.S. Democrats. A senior World Health Organization official has cast doubt on Turkmenistan's claim that it has zero COVID cases, telling the BBC it is unlikely the virus is not circulating in the country. Turkmenistan is one of only a handful of countries, including North Korea, that claim to have no coronavirus cases. Dr. Smallwood's comments represent the first public challenge by the WHO to Turkmenistan claim, as a growing number of COVID cases are being reported in the country informally. Japan is considering an economic stimulus package worth more than 30 trillion yen or $265 billion aimed at easing the pain from the COVID-19 pandemic, a plan that would require issuing new debt, Kyodo News reported. Part of the spending will come from funds carried over from last year's budget, Kyodo reported. A government panel tasked with drawing up a blueprint for Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's so-called new style of capitalism is expected to issue proposals on Monday that will lay the backbone of the planned stimulus package. SoftBank Group reported a record loss at its Vision Fund unit as the value of public holdings like Coupang and the global plunge. The unit's loss in the 3 months ended September 30 was 825.1 billion yen, exceeding the 788.6 billion yen loss the business posted amid pandemic-driven write-downs. Overall, the Tokyo-based company had a net loss of 397.9 billion yen in the period. IDX Channel reports.
Market Headlines will be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
Awalnya nggak langsung yakin, tapi setelah ikut 2 kali acara edukasi Bursa Efek, akhirnya tertarik juga.
Karena mudah, saya ajarkan ibu-ibu lain, sampai anak saya juga ikutan.
Selesai dagang, saya bawa 100.000 untuk nabung saham. Hasilnya jelas sekali.
Yuk kita nabung saham sekarang.
Halo Sobat Investor, kalian udah punya rumah belum? Berikut ini adalah tips bagi kalian yang ingin memiliki rumah impian. Tips yang pertama adalah menabung auto debit untuk membayar DP rumah. Kesulitan utama dalam membeli rumah adalah membayar uang muka sebagai syarat KPR. Jadi saat pertama kali kalian menerima gaji, langsung disisihkan secara otomatis ya untuk ditabung. Tips yang kedua adalah menabung dalam bentuk tabungan deposito ataupun emas. Menabung dalam bentuk tabungan deposito dan juga emas membuat tabungan kalian menjadi lebih aman dan tentunya melatih kalian agar semakin disiplin dalam menabung. Tips yang ketiga adalah cari DP rumah yang bisa dicicil. Program cicilan DP rumah membantu kalian yang memiliki dana terbatas. Tips berikutnya adalah pilihlah rumah yang sesuai dengan kebutuhan kalian. Pilihlah rumah yang memang kalian butuhkan ya Sobat Investor. Tips yang terakhir adalah pilihlah KPR dengan tenor yang cukup panjang. Karena KPR dengan tenor yang panjang membuat cicilan bulanan kalian menjadi lebih rendah. Nah, kini memiliki properti impian tentunya bukan angan-angan lagi ya Sobat Investor.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Health is aiming to produce 10 medicine raw materials, or BBO, that people consume the most within the country by the end of 2024. Vice Health Minister Dante Saxono said that currently there are 6 medicine raw materials that cannot yet be produced domestically. In addition to promoting research for producing the 6 BBO, the government will also produce 10 vaccines and 4 antigens domestically. To this end, the government will transform the health sector to bolster its resiliency, especially through a transformation of the pharmacy and health device sector.
Bahan bakunya masih tergantung pada impor. Dari 10 molekul obat konsumsi yang terbesar, baru 4 obat yang bahan bakunya mampu diproduksi di dalam negeri. Tetapi sebagian besar masih didatangkan dari bahan baku impor. Jadi, selain alat kesehatan yang masih diimpor, obat-obatan juga sebagian besar masih diimpor bahan bakunya, sehingga kalau kita ingin melakukan ketahanan di bidang farmasi, maka yang harus kita perkuat adalah industri kimia di hulunya.
The government has confirmed that it will encourage business and investment commitments to promote economic recovery. The Minister of Investment said that the government would encourage the United Arab Emirates to increase investment in Indonesia to at least more than $35 billion.
The Indonesian government ensures that the cooperation with the United Arab Emirates has resulted in an investment value of up to $32.7 billion. At the United Arab Emirates Business Forum meeting, the government encouraged the strengthening of several business and investment collaborations, including cooperation between the Indonesia Investment Authority and the Abu Dhabi Growth Fund, IN and DB World, to floating solar panels between Masdar and Pertamina. In addition, there is also an investment development agreement in the fields of smart cities to telecommunications.
Komunikasi dengan beberapa investor dalam forum investasi. Saya harapkan besok, ini kita masih kerja sampai tengah malam, untuk bagaimana meningkatkan investasi dari 32,7 menjadi 32, lebih lagi atas. Kami targetkan harus di atas 35. Tapi angka berapa nanti besok kami akan umumkan. Hal yang kedua adalah teman-teman media, kita tahu bersama Indonesia harus betul-betul mendorong untuk memberikan karpet merah bagi semua negara dalam rangka bagaimana melakukan realisasi investasinya di Indonesia.
Bahlil Lahadalia added that Indonesia would encourage investment convenience and services for all countries. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
Government or regarding the improvement on COVID-19 handling, the government is optimistic that economic growth will improve. The coordinating minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment estimates that economic growth could reach 5% in the fourth quarter of 2021.
Pandemic control and vaccination are claimed to be the drivers of economic recovery, which is better than the government's forecast in the third quarter of 2021. This can be seen from the achievement of third quarter economic growth, which is at the level of 3.51% on an annual basis. Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment Luhut Binsar Panjaitan explained that the economic recovery began to be seen in the second quarter, which continued in the third quarter. Although slightly depressed in the third quarter, the realization of economic growth in the third quarter has made the government believe that the recovery will continue until the end of the year. In the fourth quarter, the government believes that economic growth will be able to grow above 5%. The momentum for economic recovery must continue to be maintained with the discipline of health protocols.
Industri pengolahan lebih rendah dibandingkan dengan periode PSBB serta pulih lebih cepat. Kami memperkirakan pemulihan ekonomi baru sepenuhnya akan terlihat pada triwulan 4, sehingga pertumbuhan ekonomi dapat lebih tinggi dari 5% pada triwulan 4 nanti. Momentum pemulihan ekonomi yang sudah cukup baik mestinya terus harus kita jaga. Belajar dari pengalaman sebelumnya, kenaikan kasus akibat periode Nataru tahun lalu menyebabkan tingkat keyakinan konsumen menurun dan pertumbuhan ekonomi triwulan 1 2021 tertahan.
The government ensures that it will learn from last year's experience when the increase in cases after the Christmas and New Year periods caused consumer confidence levels to decline and economic growth in the first quarter of 2021 was stifled. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
Indonesia certainly requires greater foreign investment due to limited investment support capacity in the third quarter of 2021. The value of gross fixed capital formation grew by 3.74% in the third quarter of an annual basis. Based on data from the Central Statistic Agency, this growth slowed when compared to the conditions in the second quarter of 7.54%. In-depth researcher Aisha Rahbini explained that investment should get the government's attention, especially foreign investment, which seems to be declining compared to domestic investment. In percentage terms, gross fixed capital formation and the second largest support for the national gross domestic product after household consumption with a contribution of 1,316.9 trillion rupiah or 30.45% of the total Indonesian economy.
Ke depan jadi PR khusus nih buat penarikan modal asing. Jadi harus bekerja keras lagi ke depan ya. Bagaimana memulihkan ini yang PMA ini supaya kalau memang mau meningkatkan dengan pertumbuhan yang baik gitu. Kalau dilihat ini tadi di kuartal.
Stay with us because Market Headlines will be right back after this break.
Para petinggi negara anggota G20 sepakat untuk mengurangi pemanasan global hingga 1,5 derajat Celcius.
Kita bisa target kita maju, tetapi dengan bantuan teknologi dan investasi dari internasional.
Kementerian Keuangan menilai pemulihan ekonomi akibat pandemi COVID-19 belum berjalan secara merata di seluruh.
Pemulihan ekonomi global tidak merata.
menyajikan informasi terkini yang kami kemas dalam berita teraktual dan berkualitas. Memberikan berbagai macam kebutuhan informasi.
Memberikan informasi ekonomi dan bisnis Indonesia juga mancanegara.
Merupakan hal penting dalam mendukung keputusan investasi Anda.
Saksikan program-program ekonomi dan bisnis terkini langsung dari sumbernya.
Dilihat dari sektor UMKM nampaknya sudah mulai terasa itu, Pak.
Ya, kalau kita lihat dari indikator kredit ya untuk UMKM, ini memang sudah menunjukkan bahwa ekonomi UMKM mulai bergeliat.
Welcome back. At the Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement earlier today, yes, it was open at the level of 6,651.43. Then approaching the closing time on the first session, the index was on the level of 6,650.58. Then the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,669.92. In short, JCI went up 0.57%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement leading the dynamics of today's trading. We got technology as the leader of the strengthening trend that went up 2.72%. Transportation and logistics went up 2.7%. And we got non-cyclic as the leader of the weakening trend that went down 0.18%. And industry went down 0.08%. And moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Arto went up 4.37% to a level of 16,725 per share. BBCA went up 1.32% to a level of 7,675 per share. Bank BRI went up 0.47% to a level of 4,250 rupiah per share. And MDKA went up 3.83% to a level of 3,250 rupiah per share. Meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got BMRI went down 1.79% to a level of 6,875 rupiah per share. Telkom Indonesia went down 1.07% to the level of 3,710 rupiah per share. Astra International went down 1.27% to the level of 5,850 rupiah per share. And BBKP went down 6.79% to the level of 412 rupiah per share. And this is the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. Opened at the level of 14,232. Rupiah was also showing strengthening trend towards US dollar. Was closed at the level of 14,219. In summary, rupiah went up 0.09%. Bank Sentral Asia decided to distribute cash interim dividends to shareholders. The total dividends reached 3.08 trillion rupiah or 25 rupiah per share.
Bank Sentral Asia decided to distribute cash interim dividends to shareholders in line with the company's solid fundamentals until the third quarter of 2021 and adequate capital conditions. This statement was made by the President Director of BBCA, Yahya Setiatmaja. After obtaining approval from the Board of Commissioners, the BBCA Board of Directors will distribute a cash interim dividend of 25 rupiah per share. The total interim dividend to be paid to BCA shareholders reached 3.08 trillion rupiah, an increase of 27.5% compared to the interim dividend for the 2020 fiscal years. This value refers to the total number of shares issued by BBCA, as many as 123.27 billion units after the stock split corporate action, with a ratio of 1:5. As is known, this interim dividend distribution is based on the decision of the annual general meeting of shareholders, which gives power and authority to the Board of Directors with the approval of the Board of Commissioners if BCA's finances allow it and taking into account the applicable legal provisions and applicable laws and regulations. IDX Channel. reports.
Jasa Marga posted a net profit in the third quarter of 2021 of 749.42 billion rupiah, an increase of 374% from the same period last year.
Jasa Marga posted a net profit in the third quarter of 2021 of 749.42 billion rupiah, an increase of 374% from the same period last year. The company's positive performance in the third quarter was also reflected in its operating income, which increased by 20.75% to 8.2 trillion rupiah compared to operating income in the third quarter of 2020 of 6.8 trillion. Jasa Marga's Corporate Secretary Reza Febriano explained the improvement in the company's performance in the third quarter of 2021 was due to several new toll roads operating, supported by increased community mobilization, which resulted in an increase in traffic volume when compared to the same period last year. Not stopping there, Jasa Marga recorded an increase in EBITDA of 29.39% to 5.3 trillion rupiah compared to the third quarter of 2020 of 4.1 trillion rupiah. This growth cannot be separated from the increase in toll revenues in the third quarter by 7.6 trillion from the same period in the previous year of 6.2 trillion. This added Reza at the same time caused EBITDA margin to increase to 65.07%. IDX Channel reports.
In order to boost its expansion, Harta Dinata Abadi has realized the opening of 67 new outlets until October 2021, apart from the more than 800 collaborating retail stores throughout Indonesia. Meanwhile, the target is by 2022, the company will have 100 jewelry stores. In addition, the company has also opened 66 gold pawn units covering the areas of West Java, East Java, East Nusa Tenggara, and West Nusa Tenggara. This year, the company has allocated a capital expenditure of 50 billion rupiah for product development, and almost all of it has been used. Regarding financial performance, in the first semester of 2021, Harta Dinata's sales increased 25% to 2.45 trillion rupiah from 1.96 trillion rupiah in the same period last year. And step aside from market condition as the efforts in achieving herd immunity is still going on. Here is an update data about COVID-19 vaccinations in Indonesia. And the news closed our market lines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel. And to prevent the spread of COVID-19, always wear a face mask and get vaccinated immediately. Masks have been shown to reduce the risk of transmission by 80%, while vaccines minimize the risk of death by 73%. So let's wear a mask and get vaccinated, because masks and vaccines keep us healthy and happy. I'm Wicky Adrian. Have a nice evening and stay safe.